Welcome to another edition of Our City. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Wednesday, November 9th at 5 o'clock in the evening, the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce is going to have a business after-hours networking event. It will be held at Barcode, located at 429 on North Broad Street. On Thursday of this week, November 10th at 4 o'clock, I'm going to attend a pre-Thanksgiving dinner and a turkey giveaway. We located at the Stephen Sampson Center, 800 Anna Street. And on Friday, November 11th, please be advised that City Hall is closed in honor of Veterans Day, which will also be the subject of this evening's show. On Saturday, November 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to join Missionaries on a Mission. It will be at their 2016 pre-Thanksgiving dinner. This event is held at New Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, located at 865 East Jersey Street. And later that afternoon, around 3 o'clock, I'm going to join residents and seniors from the Ford Leonard Towers for their Thanksgiving dinner, located at 69 Division Street. If you need more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. And please stay with us after these messages, where you'll hear reveille and you'll hear taps. And then I'm going to join three veterans talking about the meaning of Veterans Day, not only to our community, but to our young people as well.
We have some of the finest teachers in the country. And then they graduate. Kean University.
Welcome back to Our City, and I'm pleased to be joined by Commander Robert Jeans, Commander Robert Kolish, and Mr. William Salzman. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome, Mayor.
So, Commander, we're going to start with you. You're a member of Post 91.
Post 91, Polish Legion of American Veterans in Linden.
In Linden.
Right on the borderline.
Come on. Where did it start? Where did it start, Commander?
It started on Franklin Street in Elizabeth.
Right.
Way before my time, I'm afraid.
And what war or theater did you serve in?
I was drafted during the Korean War. They bussed us over from the Armory over to the recruiting station in Newark, and at some point they came around looking for volunteers for the Navy and the Marines, and I assumed that they got a small amount, so they came around again with names lists, and I was headed for New York City, the recruiting Marines station there, and finally on my way to Parris Island, South Carolina.
So you said that kind of in a fun way. They were looking for volunteers, and then your name was called out. So you didn't exactly say, "Hey, I want to be in the Marines."
No, I didn't. I didn't know anything about the Marines at all at that time.
You didn't know anything about anything. You were too young, right?
I was just 19
Right.
at that time. Yeah.
And so you wound up in the Marine Corps.
Wound up in the Marine Corps, yeah.
And you were you worked on enlisting people. You were telling me before the show. You actually signed people up in enlistment. Is that what you?
No,
No, you were in. Where were you stationed?
I was stationed in Cherry Point, North Carolina, which was a Marine Air Base.
Oh, an air base.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how many years did you put in?
2 years.
2 years.
A little short of 2 years, actually. I was let out of the Marines beginning in November.
Okay.
So
2 years.
But
Just
short
short of
of
2 years.
2 years. And I was ready to go. They tried to re-enlist us, but I wanted to get home, I guess.
Good for you. Bill, you served. You told me before the show in Vietnam.
Yes.
How did similar to the commander here? You bust to Newark.
I graduated Sacred Heart High in June of 1961, and on July 19th, I was sworn in as a recruit in the U.S. Navy. And like the commander, I came into Newark, Broad Street, and West Kinney Street. Building is still there. That was the military enlistment center. And we got our shots and took a few exams and was sworn in right there. My recruiter was Bill Bell, U.S. Navy, who had his office right in the center rotunda in the county courthouse building. And he signed us up. Richie Tomaso and myself went in under the buddy system. And we went to boot camp at Great Lakes, Chicago. From there, I went to Pensacola, Florida, Corey Field, where I graduated from 2 Class A schools, communications technician, R Branch Radio School, and communications technician direction finding school. And from Corey Field, I went to Midway Island, served a year. Then U.S. Navy Communication Station in San Miguel, Philippines. And about 3 days after the Gulf of Tonkin incident, I was on a plane meeting the ranger on Yankee Station in the Gulf of Tonkin.
How many years did you put in?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
And most of it was over there.
Almost all of it was overseas, except for my boot camp and my 2 Class A schools. All my time was overseas.
So, Commander, what's your story? How did you wind up in what theater,
Drafted.
what war? Drafted.
Drafted Army, U.S. Army.
So I have an Army, a Navy, and a Marine guy.
Yeah, you know who
Got
the
it.
best
I got them
is.
all. I got them all. Good.
No Air Force guy.
No Air Force guys.
They're all playing golf.
That's right, the Air Force guys.
Union County had a draft board on North Broad Street in Elizabeth. We had to get our own train station there. From there to the federal building in Newark. This was in 1968, October 68, and we then from there transported to Fort Dix, and that's where we did our basic training boot camp, and from there Fort Polk, Louisiana, and from there all the rest of my service was in Vietnam overseas.
What part of Vietnam?
Central Highlands, about 20 clicks west of Da Nang.
Okay. Yeah, you got to put it in perspective of the big city, right? So the rest of us can understand it.
Yeah,
so.
Da Nang was on the coast. Most of the jungle in the Central Highlands.
So, and you're the commander of,
Kenilworth Post, VFW 2230.
and how's that post doing? Because I know I go there.
We're
a
doing
lot.
fine. Yes, you do, Mayor, and I always make it a point to say hello when you come in the door. But and always glad to see you. We merged with several different posts, one of them being an ex-Elizabeth post from the Blessed Sacrament 8410, and to which we still enjoy several members from that post who still come out and on Memorial and Veterans Day. The holidays they come out, but most of them are up there in age.
As I said before the show, my father was a member of Post 8410.
I never knew that.
Yeah, he passed away in 1990, but he helped start it with a guy named Charlie Hamill way back in.
And Charlie Hamill's
70s.
still alive.
He's still alive, still a member, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's when he was there, and he served in Korea. Never told me much about it though. But a similar story to you though. He got on a bus,
Right.
went to Newark.
Went to Newark.
Signed up?
Signed up.
Yeah, I
We're
don't.
on our way.
On your way, yeah, just about. And are you the commander in Post 91?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how do you get that commander's job? You get elected, or is it the last man standing?
I joined the club. I'm in the club about 11 years, and we got guys 62 years, 60 years. Red Nadolski's close to 60 years. John Kinney's over 40 years, our finance officer. So I joined the club. I was in the club about 6 months, and the second vice commander passed away. And I wasn't at the next meeting, and somebody nominated me, seconded, all in favor, aye. Guys were coming up to me the next week. Hey, you're the new second vice here. What?
Kind of like how it happened in the Marines,
Yeah,
right?
right.
They just said, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're coming with us."
And then Kaz Kowalczyk, of course you know, was the commander of Post 91, and he resigned. Joe Wojcik took over as the commander. I moved up to first vice commander. Then Joe Wojcik one day had a few words with Kaz, and he resigned. Joe Wojcik resigned. So who was going to be the next commander? So everybody wanted me to be the commander because I was in line of being the first vice commander. So I said I would be. So it was
And how about you?
no deal.
Similar story there, Commander. How did you?
I have been
Is it
the
an election?
all election, and I've been the commander of VFW 2230 since 2000, and still hold the position to this day. Lucky me.
Lucky you. So tell me the story, gentlemen, about you were all young when you got drafted. You got 19, 17 and
18.
So obviously you didn't have your own family at that time, but you were part of, you didn't start your own family. But what was it like? Start with you, Bill, because you were given a choice, right?
I was given a choice.
Yeah, by Dad.
By my father.
What was the choice?
My father said college or military. You're not hanging around. And I had enough of school at that point in time in my life, so I chose the Navy. And the Navy and I got a great feeling between ourselves, and we enjoyed each other. And I gained 20 pounds in boot camp. I loved it. Loved the food. Loved the Navy to this day.
And so you're glad your father gave you that choice.
I sure am. Yeah. If my dad didn't pass away in 1962, leaving my mother alone, I probably would have made it a career. But because my mom was alone, I came back home.
And then you eventually became a policeman, right?
I did. I served 36 years. And retired on my birthday in 2004. So I'm enjoying about 12 years of retirement already. And I'm looking forward to my second 12.
So what was it like as a 19-year-old kid leaving your family?
My sister cried when she heard I
Was she
was
older
in the
or younger?
Marines. She was older
older.
than me. And yeah, I went to boot camp, and I didn't know anything about the Marines. And I think I was there about 3 days, and the DI come up to me. He
What's a
said,
DI?
drill instructor.
Okay.
The drill instructor says, "Did you shave, boy?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "I don't think so. You bring your pail and your shaver and come to my tent." And the pail was the only thing we had to keep a few essentials at that time. We were sleeping in tents on the floor with just a pillow and a mattress. So he goes to his tent, and you just don't walk in this tent. You got to knock on a 2x4 frame doorway. And he inevitably says, "I can't hear you." You knock a little harder. "I still can't hear you." And he knocked the last time. He said, "Now get in here." And he made me stand on a pail, dry shave. And of course I was all cut up, and he gave me aftershave lotion to rub in it. And he said, "Now get out of here." So that was my indoctrination. So I said, "So this is how it's going to be."
Wasn't fun that day.
It wasn't fun that day. That
So-
was my experience.
So, Commander, what was it like for you? You were 19 when you left, right?
18. I turned 19 in boot camp. Then again, I served 2 years, so I came home. I was 20 years old and still couldn't drink in this state or vote for the guy who sent me there.
That's right. You had to be 21 back then, right?
Correct.
So you couldn't drink and you couldn't vote, and here you were just coming back from
Yeah,
service
from a war
in Vietnam.
zone.
Yeah. So, how did you communicate with I mean, today you got social media, you got Twitter, you got Facebook. How did you communicate with family or friends?
Everything at that time was through the mail. We had an APO address, and the parents could, and relatives and friends could mail letters to you through that. In that respect, but there was only one time that I actually was ordered to call home. I was reported missing in action, and I had to call home. They had what they called a MARS system, and after you finished your sentence, you had to say over. He said, and your parents had to do the same thing. So that was a heck of a conversation. But I had to tell them that the missing in action letter they were getting, don't pay no attention to it. And my parents were all upset. But what are you doing? Where are you? You know, what's going on? I said, oh, I have some job in the back of your area. Don't worry about me. But
But did they really get the letter, or did
yes,
they did get the
yes,
letter?
yes, they did.
And you were able to call before that letter
Before it
arrived?
got there, correct.
Okay. And how did you communicate, Bill? Same thing, mail? Or?
Well, yeah, mail and telephone. When I was on Midway Island, we ran phone patches. I don't know if you're familiar with that, with ham radio. And call sign was KM6CE. And if you were stationed on Midway, for example, we try to reach out over the ham radio system for someone as close as possible to Elizabeth, give them your home phone number, and then from that point, they would call your house and you'd be able to talk to your parents or girlfriend or wife or siblings, whatever, through the phone patch system. Okay. So that was about it. No computers.
No. And how about you were a career, so you were before these guys.
Mail, of course.
You didn't get phones.
No, I didn't make any phone calls. And I communicated with the girl across the street, who eventually became my wife.
Oh, congratulations. She hung in there.
Yeah.
We're going to do a commercial, and then we're going to come back and talk more about your experience, and as well as Veterans Day and what it means today. Please stay with us after these messages, where I'll be back with more with a member from the Army, the Marines, and the Navy.
We're an American original. Dependable, historic, nuanced, with all the comforts of home, even when you're just visiting. So we're celebrating for all that we've left untouched and all that we've changed. A place where the past meets the future. So consider this your invitation.
We've been celebrating here in Elizabeth for 350 years, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to our city, where we're talking with three veterans regarding Veterans Day and what it means to them. So why don't we start with that question, gentlemen? Veterans Day. You've been celebrating a lot of Veterans Days, and not only with your fellow veterans, but also in the community. So the meaning of Veterans Day. Why don't we start with the two guys that came back from Vietnam, because coming back from Vietnam, you weren't, wasn't a welcome time, was it? From
No,
what
it
I've read.
wasn't. Not at all.
I'm too young, but I didn't get out of high school to 72, so it was all over by then. But I did get a draft number, but Nixon ended the draft, so.
I was sitting on a rice paddy dyke when they came up with that system. My number was 10, so
Mine was 8.
I would have been going anyway.
I was 008.
Yep. I would have
So,
been drafted anyway.
Yeah.
But not a problem. You know, he said the last 16 years, with the help of Bill and a few other essential executive board members, we've run both Memorial Day and Veterans Day services at the post. We send out invitations to mayor and council, you know, all the dignitaries and the senior citizens, and we cook a special meal for them and everything. But we do hold services as the manual of procedure does prescribe. So again, we enjoy it very much. There are occasions, you know, when we get to reading off the deceased members and so on and so forth, where it does get a little emotional, but we get through it, and we have other veterans with us supporting us. But we have a regular routine that we go through on Veterans Day. We're the only post in Union County that decorates the graves of the veterans in both Beth David in Kenilworth and Graceland Memorial Park. we recycle the flags from Memorial Day and redo it again on Veterans Day. We get the Boy Scout troops and the Girl Scout troops to pitch in. We have a lot of volunteers that come out to help us. And then on Sunday, Father Berkowitz from St. Teresa's holds a Veterans Mass at 9 a.m. And of course, then on the day of, we have the services and the breakfast and or luncheon.
Somebody puts a flag on my father's grave. I have no idea who does that, but I'd probably want to thank him at some point.
What cemetery,
where?
man?
It's
Where?
up in Mount Olivet.
No.
That's the post up there. That's
Yeah.
the.
Yeah, that was probably the Blessed Sacrament post, but I don't know if they do it anymore, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
don't know who
believe
did
it's the Linden Post takes care of Mike Gilrain from
Oh,
an
Mike
ex-fireman from, but he's passed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was always in charge of that. That was the other Elizabeth Post.
Yeah.
Right.
And they always took care of that. And that we merged in with the Linden Post. 1397, and Dennis Costello handles all that now.
Yeah, okay. So, what was it like for you coming back, Bill?
Well, we weren't prepared for it. I came back on board the Ranger through Alameda, California, and we came back. We had an explosion aboard ship, and we had to make it back to Subic Bay in the Philippines for emergency repairs, then back to Alameda. It was close to my discharge date. So for the next couple of weeks, I stayed aboard the Ranger, taking liberty in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And I kind of got a whiff, an idea of what was going on in people's minds back at that time. It wasn't pleasant, but nothing compared to what Bobby came home to, because I was there at the beginning stages. I was there in 1964, 1965. I believe the Gulf of Tonkin incident was somewhere around August the 7th of 1964. I was stationed in the Philippines when I got my orders to report to the Ranger, and I met the Ranger in the Gulf of Tonkin. It was the beginning stages of the war. We didn't have to worry about anti-aircraft fire too much because Russia wasn't completely involved with the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese army. These guys that were on the ground, laying in the weeds, they had it tough. I didn't have it that much. I didn't have it that tough. It was pretty easy for us. But we didn't expect the homecoming that we received. There was no parades, nobody shaking your hand. It was tough. It was tough coming home.
It was different.
Yeah.
And after Korea, which, you know, as a student of history, really never ended. There's no
Right.
treaty or nothing. It's
Yeah,
just,
and there's no treaters, and there still might be a war there.
yeah,
I
who
think.
knows?
So Veterans Day, we usually have Mass at St. Adalbert's, and then attend the services at the City Hall Monument. But this year, our posts are going to Washington, D.C. for Veterans Day, for ceremonies at Arlington Cemetery. And we're the host posts, and there'll be posts, PLAV posts from all over the country there. We made all the arrangements for the ceremonies, little buffet party after, and everything like that. So on Memorial Day, we flagged the graves at Evergreen Cemetery in Hillside, and we do that for Memorial Day too, you know, for Veterans Day too. So that's our.
Tell us about the activities you do in the post. I mean, I go there for celebrations, or St. Patrick's Day is always a big one. Besides the Memorial Day and Veterans Day celebrations, what else does the post do as far as activities in the community?
We have a regular routine that we do at the community service. We again transport veterans to and from the VA for for services. The community itself, we get in the classrooms. We run 2 contests, a high school it's the Voice of Democracy contest. Grammar school, it's a Patriots Pen Youth Essay contest. You can anywhere from local post is usually $250 to the county is $500, and on up to $30,000 if you're a winner, a national winner. So that's the Voice of Democracy, and 500 again, and on up to I think 1,000 for the 8th graders. But you can start participating from freshman through senior year, and from 6th grade to 8th grade in the youth essay. Again, we encourage all the children to do it. We go through the schools, we put out the pamphlets and the posters for them to get involved. Again, it's always a patriotic theme. Senior citizens, of course, we're always involved doing luncheons with them. Again, we also collect wheelchairs, crutches, and all kinds of other medical gear, porta potties, beds, automatic wheelchairs, power wheelchairs. And then whoever needs them, we provide them, transport them, and set them up to in the residence so that, again, if something happens to one of them, again, many things. We do food drives. We adopt a unit. Bill has got us involved with adopt a unit. In overseas, I believe ours is in Iraq at this time.
What unit is that, Bill?
10th Mountain Division.
And they're currently stationed in Iraq?
Yeah, the 10th Mountain Division is about the most deployed unit in the United States Army. They always have a contingent working overseas, and our adopt a unit just supervises the gathering of supplies that they want. Sweat socks, baby wipes, Q-tips. I mean, they don't ask for much, but what they ask for, we try to collect. And then Bobby Jeans makes sure that the post pays the postage. It doesn't cost any citizen any money at all. Just bring the stuff to our post. We'll package it, and we'll send it off free of charge.
Thanksgiving, we do, food baskets for the needy. We get in touch with the welfare department in town, Paulette Drogan, and she helps us out. We usually do 35 to 40 baskets a year. During the holiday season, we make sure that needy families all have a turkey.
That's terrific.
With all the trimmings.
That's terrific.
And Bobby sees to it that the PTSD unit from Lions Hospital, at least 4 times a year, 3 times a year, comes down to our post, and Bobby, along with the Vietnam Veterans of America, 688, hosts a free dinner for all those guys and girls. And we just had one last week, and they're amazing. And as a note, New Jersey treats their veterans very well. Mm-hmm. The only complaint they had was that the food stinks. And they can't wait to come to the Kenilworth Veterans Center to get some of our home cooking. But they don't ask for much, and Bobby's always on top of everything. He does.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show. I also want to thank you for your service to our country and your commitment to communities.
Thank you, man.
It's
Thank you,
absolutely
man.
terrific
Thank you,
in
man.
what you've done. So thank you very much, and may we all enjoy Veterans Day, and also take a moment to thank those that
Yes.
paid the ultimate sacrifice in keeping our country free. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
For Commander Robert Kolish and Commander Robert Jeans and Mr. William Salzman, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City. And on Friday, Veterans Day, take a moment and remember the veterans. Thank them for their service to our country.
Where will the next generation of scientists come from? Right here. Kane University.